What qualities does a person need to be a good leader? How can we embody good leadership at work and in our day-to-day lives? In this video, I give a brief review of a book that explores those questions and more. So stick around and hear what I have to say. Hi, I'm Leslie Garcia, and I'm a life coach based here in Brisbane, Australia, and I'm also a book club facilitator. The Vanguard Book Club for Personal Development. That's us. We meet here at Leslie V Coaching headquarters once a month, in person and online. We've had 19 meetings so far, and today's book was our third ever featured title. Dare to Lead. Brave Work, Tough Conversations, Whole Hearts, by the one and only Brené Brown. What I appreciate about Brené Brown is that she isn't just another self-styled business/personal development guru who left the corporate world to coach coaches in how to coach other coaches to coach coaches. No, she's a researcher, not a YouTube, Google, I've done my own research kind of person, but in the academic sense. And coming from an academic background myself, this is something I can really appreciate. Her research on shame and vulnerability in particular has been pretty groundbreaking. She's really helped a lot of society kind of level up in our conversations around the power of vulnerability and the strength that we embody when we embrace it rather than try to deny it. And with Dare to Lead, she discusses how these things relate to leadership. And she creates a bit of a bridge between how all these things put together play out for us in our personal lives and in our working lives. The book is divided into 4 main parts that illustrate her 4 main requirements for being better leaders. Rumbling with vulnerability, living into our values, braving trust, and learning to rise. I suspect that most of us have leaders in our history who thought they were hot shit, but really were not. Like, not even close. I've left a couple of pretty toxic work environments because of that, because of a so-called leader's inability to see through their own fear and understand the impact that that was having on the rest of us, the people they're supposed to be leading. And one part of the book that really brought this up for me was this excerpt from part 1, Rumbling with Vulnerability, in a section titled The Call to Courage. Starting on page 51, she writes, "When we're in fear or an emotion is driving self-protection, there's a fairly predictable pattern of how we assemble our armor piece by piece. 1, I'm not enough. 2, if I'm honest with them about what's happening, they'll think less of me or maybe even use it against me. 3, no way am I going to be honest about this. No one else does it. Why do I have to put myself out there? 4, yeah, screw them. I don't see them being honest about what scares them, and they've got plenty of issues. 5, it's actually their issues and shortcomings that make me act this way. This is their fault, and they're trying to blame me. And 6, in fact, now that I think about it, I'm actually better than them." People think it's a long walk from I'm not enough to I'm better than them, but it's actually just standing still in the exact same place, in fear, assembling the armor. One kind of funny problem about books like this is that the people who really need to read them and learn from them are also probably the least likely to pick them up and read them. But Christmas is coming, so there may be some people in your life that you may want to give it to as a Christmas present, with some strategic highlighting, just to be nice. But anyway, obviously this isn't the first book ever written about leadership, but one thing I like about it is the way it synthesizes the author's lessons on leadership with her previous works, Daring Greatly and Rising Strong. It repeats a lot of the information from these two books, which is actually a common criticism from some reviews that I've read, like on Goodreads and such, but that really didn't bother me. I mean, they are mentioned on the cover. So while it may not be new information for some people, it's a good way to put the leadership skills that she writes about in context. Overall, I really appreciated this book. It does have a heavy lean towards business, but that's not the entire focus. So even if you don't hold a leadership position at your place of work, you may find some of the insights presented in the book very helpful in understanding some of the behaviors of your colleagues or your so-called superiors. But of course, there are also numerous opportunities to exhibit leadership in your day-to-day life, within your family, within your community. And reading about these things through a Brené Brown lens may be more palatable for people who aren't necessarily looking for a super strict formula for how to be the boss. There are plenty of books like that around. One caveat I would offer is that Brené Brown does have a full-blown training program based on her insights with the same title as the book, so knowing that puts it in danger of being a little sales pitchy at times, I guess. I don't know. But never once did I feel like I was somehow missing out on the true wisdom of her findings by not enrolling in one of her courses, which is something that sometimes happens when you have books that are connected to training programs or online courses. Often they just become a funnel to the thing that they want you to pay more money for. The last point I want to review is the section on living into our values. She offers a definition of values on page 186. Let's see. Where she writes, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, values are principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. In our work, I simplify the definition. A value is a way of being or believing that we hold most important. Living into our values means that we do more than profess our values, we practice them. We walk our talk. We are clear about what we believe and hold important, and we take care that our intentions, words, thoughts, and behaviors align with those beliefs. And this is the first thing I look at when I'm working with a new client, those deep down core values. Because any plans or strategies that we put in place need to happen on top of a solid foundation. And this goes for organizations as well. Because otherwise you're setting yourself up for, at best, empty successes, and at worst, just emptiness. Her process for drilling down into core values with the people she's worked with is well outlined in this book. And she highlights something very important that a lot of us have probably been subjected to. And that's having relationships with companies or organizations that declare a list of values that they promote to the public, but then behind the scenes, they're just not living up to these values. Performative value statements are pretty useless on an individual level and an organizational level. And it does take guts to walk our values talk. But as leaders, we just have to do it. There's really no choice. So I want to know what you think about this book. Likes, dislikes, best audience for it. How does it compare to Brené Brown's other work? Her writing, her TED Talks, her podcast. Leave me a comment or send me a message. And be sure to check out my book club so you can join us for our live conversations. Again, in person or online, so from wherever you are in the world. I'll put some information about that in the description for the video. I've got a bunch of book reviews coming up, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of them. All right, I'll catch you next time.